The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello all, this is Bryan for Breaking Down Security. This week is our discussion on log analysis. We're sitting down with Miss Berlin because we wanted to, just pick her brain on all things log analysis. This is a passion of hers. It's a passion of Mr. Betcher's as well, because there's a lot that can be gleaned from machine output and telemetry that can tell you all kinds of things, indicators of compromise, threats that you might not have, and even, I wouldn't say less mundane, but like performance issues, and performance issues could be, your web application is not good, it's clunky, or it could be, your indicator could be that there's an active denial of service occurring on your site, or you have some application logic issues. There's a ton of things that can come out of log files. If the problem is they need tuning, they need to be able to be trusted, they need to be centralized so that you can create the timelines that you need, the playbooks in this case that say, okay, I see this condition, I need to do X, or I don't see this condition, I need to do Y, that kind of thing. So this week is part of our 2-hour Twitch stream that we did. We created 2 30-minute segments, so you'll hear one this week and one next week that we are creating regular content on our Twitch stream now, and it's a bit more free form, I would argue, than we've historically done. I don't hate it. I'm still feeling our way through on how to do the podcast format, if there is such a thing now. If you are interested in being live with Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, and myself, we have a schedule on twitch.tv/breaksec. You can join us. We are doing an OSCP study group on the weekends, running through some of the more famous VulnHub vulnerable VMs. Like I have a video up as of now on Twitch and our YouTube channel on Keyoptrix. We're following several well-known blogs on how to prep for OSCP. The idea being that if you don't have the $1,000 to pay for lab time initially, you can use, and you are trying to practice up so that you're not wasting your OSCP lab time trying to learn how to use different tools or what have you. These sessions will be great to help you understand overarching issues or tooling like Metasploit or Nikto or SQL Map. Some things that you're allowed to use on the OSCP tests, some that you're not. That way, when you get in there for your OSCP, you're not having to spend 8 hours trying to understand how Metasploit works or how to intercept a burp request or what have you. So ideally, we're going to be going through, the links in our notes for this week on our show, highlight the blog posts that we'll be following. There's, about 20 or 30 vulnerable VMs that you can get from VulnHub. And then Rana Khalil, which is an excellent blog, had highlighted about 47 that hack the box ones that have been either recently retired or should be available. And we'll be going through those. So, we've got a ton of content out there that is going to occur, I hope. We need your support. If, you can come out and just watch me flail, if you've ever gone to a conference and seen the demo gods be unkind to a speaker, that's kind of how it is with me when I'm going through these things, because I'm learning as I go too. I'm not a pen tester. I'm going to be learning right along with you. So there are no wrong answers. We may spend 2 hours trying to get a shell to work. So there's definitely a learning experience there. But come join us. We also have the podcast. We're going to be doing a book club potentially this summer. whatever events you might find important is what we want to do. So we're going to get started here with our discussion, Miss Berlin and myself, on logging IOCs and threats. So have a great week. One of the things and the reason we were going to do this tonight was we were going to talk about some log analysis. Some of the things that we came up with during our Try Hack Me. I had made mention that, doing things like brute force attacks and other things, if your logs are set up correctly, is usually very noisy, especially if you're doing things like trying to fuzz a web app or something like that. Those are not things where you're trying to be sneaky. That's like, I'm just throwing shit up against the wall and seeing if it sticks, that kind of thing.
Right.
And if configured properly, your SOC or your MSP or your SaaS logging appliance thing should catch that and notice those things are happening, and help make decisions accordingly. When you are staring at logs all day, I mean, what are the kind of things you're seeing that you go, oh yeah, I know what that is. Oh yeah, I know what that is. Oh, that's new. Let's go look at that. I mean, what does it look like from a log analysis point of view? What's the first thing you look at when you look at a brand new log?
Oh, that's a long answer. So I actually really want to write something about this. And so Atlassian has a decent short article about how they craft their detections.
Okay.
Right? It's like their detection framework.
Okay.
I would love to write an incident detection engineering framework on how we prioritize what detections to create and why. Because there's a bunch of different kinds, right? Like if you're talking, for example, the one integration we're working on right now is SentinelOne. Mm-hmm. And a whole lot of customers ask for it. Right? Because SentinelOne is a fantastic product. Like we have our own partnership agreement with them. We have logged in. We've detonated stuff. We've gotten custom alerts to fire. We've created an integration. We're doing all this kind of stuff. But in the end, SentinelOne's the endpoint detection agent, right? Mm-hmm. You're not relying on really raw logs to do it. They're doing their own analysis and they're just passing the logs through to you as a SIM, and then you're deciding what to do with it. So when those things happen, so that's anything from Carbon Black to CrowdStrike to Cylance, Windows Defender, SentinelOne, all of those things that are endpoint agents that are configured at the customer end, at least for us, right? Since we're doing SaaS stuff. One, you have to rely on how well it's configured at the customer end.
Right.
Because that takes a certain amount of configuration. When we first started, we're we're going to implement all of these awesome Carbon Black detections because at the time we were the ones managing, because we were the MSSP for all of the customers that were going to switch over to Blumera. So we knew how all of their environments were configured. So we were able to craft detections. And then we started getting customers coming on that had almost zero configuration. And those alerts were terrible.
Right.
Because you have to rely on that customer's configuration of whatever that product was. So that's one type, right? Where you're bringing in those detections to do the whole, they call it single pane of glass, right? Where you have everything coming into a SIM because you can't send your firewall logs to SentinelOne.
Right.
So that's one type of detection is just, I say they're just regurgitated other product things, right? Where you're not really applying a whole lot of intelligence to it. Correct. Sure, we add threat intel stuff or some automation or whatever to those kind of detections, but still it's not raw Windows logs or raw firewall logs. So that's a product detection. Or you have raw like threat detections, which are log4j, right?
Right.
You know what you need to look for in a firewall log or in like the web server log or whatever to detect that, but that's like completely crafted by you. You have to like test that detection out. And there's how many, like, not just log4j, but like a whole bunch of different like attacks, right? Whole bunch of different ways to run an attack, right? And you kind of have to try and account for all of those.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that there's like not a crazy amount of false positives. So like
Right.
one example I use, so 7 Minute Security is another podcast, and I was talking to their host the other day or earlier today, and we were talking about Mimikatz and like how
Right.
that's like, if you detect on Mimikatz, that's kind of like a finishing move. Like you should have detected a crap ton of stuff before Mimikatz was run. And everybody's like, oh, yay, we detected Mimikatz, which is great, but like you're still at the end. That's the end game.
Right.
Right? I mean, somebody's not going to just run Mimikatz from the internet. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens before then. But there's like some legitimate tools that use past the hash behind the scenes that people pay for. Like
Right.
you can go and buy a tool to like manage your Active Directory or do some automation because you're an MSP and it's doing past the hash behind the scenes and you never knew until you started detecting on it. So you have to account for those kind of things when you do threat detection stuff, right? Even if it's what we would say, the word I'm thinking of, like high certainties, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
you definitely want to get woken up in the middle of the night if Mimikatz is run.
High level of confidence. Right.
Yeah, except when it's run and it happens to be the tool you just rolled out.
Yeah. Or, it's your red team who are, just futzing around at 2 a.m. because they don't have anything better to do.
Sure. So those are like two main kind of detections that we look into writing. And just like the whole mindset behind that and why we would prioritize different kinds. Like, I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I'd like to thank Triplexity. I think Triplexity is the first person to actually give us bits at all ever.
What's a bit? I mean, I know what a bit is, but
a bit it's like currency, kind of like Twitch bits. It's another way that you can show support, and you get to do things like if you were to go in, there's things you can do, like there may be custom emotes, like sound effects that could go over the sounds. You can
trade them in for crypto.
You can no.
Sorry.
I'm stuck in a loop here. So they have you can do things like get custom emotes. You can make comments. You can throw things up on the stream. I've seen them on some Twitch streams where it's like you can make sound effects or something happen. Like Kiara Please, one of the ones that I follow. You get certain things. I'm still working some of those out, but I've created some emotes and other things that are available for people who are giving out. How many bits to ring the shame bell for saying crypto?
I don't have a bell here.
It'll be 100,000 Twitch bits for ringing the shame bell.
Yes, excellent. I don't have a shame bell or a bell in general. I have a giant metal spear.
I have a metal. That's not it. Sorry, I feel like a Foley artist or something in the old timey days where it's like they're stomping on wood to make it sound like somebody's walking upstairs or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for all the followers, dat Banjan dude or whatever. So okay, so we're talking about high levels of confidence. You don't want false positives. If you want a high level of the ability for folks to act on those logs with confidence that they're not wasting their time, efforts, resources, finding potentially things that aren't useful or actionable in this case. Hello, Binary Rip. How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing? Binary Rip's been here, I think, since the beginning, so it's very nice. Thank you to all of the new first-time followers. Yeah, so, I mean, I think the biggest issue is, and I read a story about this. Unfortunately, it's on my work computer, and I'm going to have to boot that up and get my history here. But they were talking about how some log file systems are just not friendly to analysis. And
I mean,
let me see.
yeah, like there's, I could probably name and shame. I'm not on my company's webcast right now.
Oh yeah, the disclaimer at the top on the something about the thoughts, theories, and opinions we express are not our employer's past, present, or future. So
I have it in my employee agreement that I can talk about whatever I want, but in regards to break sex. So there's some really crappy well, I think there's really decent products out there that have really crappy logging. How about that?
There you go. Yeah.
So, Firepower.
Oh, yeah?
Cisco Firepower. Crappiest logs I've ever seen. Maybe not ever seen, but as far as a next-gen firewall, gives you little to nothing.
Really?
In logs. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is it because it's not configured default to do so? Or is it the logging format is just different? Or, I mean...
They just give you nothing. Like, total characters is like under 50 for every log generated.
Well, like, if you look at like... be a sponsor, so...
Whatever. So if you look at like Palo Alto or Fortinet, or... I think those are probably the two best in logging capabilities anyways. Yeah. Will automatically generate types of logs based on what they send. So like we have like Palo Alto threat, Palo Alto traffic, Palo Alto email filter, Palo Alto this, that. Like there's like 10 to 12 to 15 types of data that come out of those firewalls. Mm-hmm. And they all have decent information, right? It'll tell you source destination, IP port, like if there's a URL, if there's a URL path, if there is a user associated, if there's a vulnerability associated, if it's blocked or not, like all of the things you would normally associate with a firewall would be in those logs. Firepower has nothing. They're like, this happened.
So what do you tell a customer if they go, hey, we have a Firepower firewall. Okay, sorry, we can't work with you because your kit is trash.
We still work with it. We just can only work with the data given, right? So I created, it's the integration maturity matrix that our like technical account managers and our sales engineers can use. Right. That shows how mature we are with each integration. So it breaks it down in between like the integration. So we have different kinds of integration. Some of them require like a box on-prem to like ingest logs. Others are just cloud connectors where you don't have to have anything on-prem. So that's a mature integration. And then there's parsing maturity, which is like, we've been through several integrations of parsing, and we have it for all of these different kinds of software levels and all of these different APIs. We have all of them. So like that's a high maturity level. And then others, it's like, we've been through this once. There is a parser for it, but it's like, there's still some stuff that aren't mapped correctly. And then there's detection, which is like, currently our Microsoft 365 is fairly high maturity because we've been through all of the Microsoft 365 detections,
Right.
like logs, to create the best detections we can, and like also done additional threat research, right, to figure out like how you can break into 365.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a high, but then there's lows, which is like we have nothing, which that would be firepower because we can't barely like if you don't tell us like what the traffic's actually doing, we can't detect anything.
Yeah. So is it, I'm just trying to think here. Is it because some vendors want you to buy into their ecosystem of monitoring and they don't want you to employ a third party? I mean, could it is it because the Cisco NG firewall speaks Cisco and Cisco's like, "Oh, I can translate that for you over here for another $100,000 a year," or
Terrible business model.
apparently it's working.
I
It's
mean,
working.
it's Cisco. Of course it's going to work.
Right. Yeah,
Like they have good products. Like I can't say they don't have good products. Like I hear that Firepower is a good product. It's just as far as logging goes, it is terrible.
yeah, that's really odd. It, I don't know what would be the impetus for a company to not want to give telemetry that would potentially, you know, stop bad guys attacking. What's this? Verbose logs is an extra subscription fee. You know what?
I would not
We've
be
talked about the
surprised.
E5 licenses and stuff for that. So yeah, yeah. I think they fixed that though. I think Microsoft got better and doesn't necessarily require an E5 license. I could be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't know. I've not heard any different.
Okay. Well, it is what it is.
I would love
Okay.
to have just like somebody that's written Microsoft licensing to come on. Like who at Microsoft will come talk about licensing?
Oh yeah, no, no, they won't. Yeah, no, no. I bet they
It's
won't.
a super secret sauce.
We can't. We can't. Miss Berlin will be mean to us.
Yeah,
Can't go.
totally will. I've had so many different 365 tenants up, and I still have absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Yep. Perplexity says, imagine Microsoft not having an NDA for something. Yeah.
No, it would be super entertaining, just me screaming at a Microsoft engineer. We could probably just call up their support and do the same thing.
I don't want to get banned by them. I still might want to work for them one day.
You need to
Sidestep
come to the
says,
startup life, man.
Sidestep says, I will not be attending that stream. Sidestep, did you OPSEC yourself? OPSEC fail? Tell me how you work for Microsoft without telling me you work for Microsoft.
Oh,
Busted. No, I'm just kidding. But so, yeah, I can't find that. I can't find that post. I actually had a good. I'm looking at my review today from my boss and my boss. So I've got 5 bosses, Bob. So
well, at one time I had 3, but now I'm
yeah.
down to 2. Now I'm down to 2.
Oh, that's good. It's the little things, not having 5 bosses.
Like we're like I don't know. Like I feel like our little group we're like the special kids in a good
Why do you
way.
say that? Why do you say that? Is it because you have a unique set of skills and
Yeah. So like we're under engineering. Uh but all of engineering are developers other than us.
okay. Okay.
So like I kind of also report to the CTO because he's really really good at security. But then I also directly report to the head of engineering
Right.
because that's
Do,
really my boss, but he
do you
doesn't
ever
really know anything about security.
right, do you ever see a conflict there where it's like, you feel like you can't tell the director of engineering no because he's
You
your
know, because
boss and
he's Canadian.
I don't understand what that
He's
means.
really super nice.
You just say it with poutine, is that what it is? You just give him
Yeah,
some
yeah,
poutine?
yeah. No, he's just really kind and like follow. Like I don't know, he just He always makes good choices.
He's not on the stream. You're not
No,
gonna.
no, I
You're
know
not
he's
gonna
not.
get any.
He'll never watch this. I guarantee you, he'll never watch this.
He'll never. He.
He's super nice. Like he's always very thoughtful of his like comments. He
Okay.
will wait and think before speaking, which I have a big problem with
Is
myself
he?
sometimes.
Is he from? Is he Quebecois or is he like English speaking?
English speaking, yes.
Okay, because
Yes.
I've been to Canada. I've been to both sides of Canada. The closer
Yeah.
you get to Quebec
Yeah,
and
the ruder
Quebec in
they
that
get.
area, you're just
Oh,
trying to kill
sorry.
the stream. But
No, I just know. I just
well, no, the closer you get to Quebec, they teach French and then English. If you go to Vancouver in
right,
British Columbia, they teach English then French. So it's
right.
like, yeah. And in America, they teach Merkin, I guess. I don't know. But
Nothing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, sidestep. I apologize. I didn't mean to out you there. But my wife works for Microsoft. She has for about 8 years. It's a great company. And hell, they helped pay for our house here. And I know a lot of people who work there because I'm up here in Seattle. So, but yeah,
I don't know if I'd ever want to work for a company that big.
you're not really working for the whole company. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Okay, okay,
The
okay.
biggest company I've ever worked for had like 2,500 employees.
Wow. Okay. I worked for the Navy, which
Not counting like Tractor
quarter.
Supply, which like I worked for like a local or Walmart. Like that doesn't count.
Okay, so all right, let's continue using that analogy. You worked for Walmart, but not big Walmart. You worked for that Walmart there. When you work
Yeah.
at Microsoft, you work in this little group. You don't necessarily work for all of
Okay.
Microsoft.
Okay.
So I mean,
All right.
ideally people are like, oh, we should be communicating cross teams and stuff, and yeah, sometimes you need to know and talk to other groups, but you are pretty insulated. Like I have moved
Okay.
from one department of my company to another, and the culture's different. They do entirely different things. I'm doing product security now and not pen test and vendor management, and so the skill set is different, and I'm in an entirely different group, but I still work with some of those folks over in my old group more than once in a while. So it is a thing. I mean, you don't
I
work for the whole Microsoft.
I really like just being able to talk to the CEO.
I have talked to the CEO because I work for a subsidiary now of the company I used to work for. They acquired this company, so I have talked to the CEO of our division of our company.
Where you
Not
currently
division of our
work?
company. Yeah, yeah.
Like, okay, just the division though, not like
Well, he's
the
the
company,
president. He's the president of the company that was
the
acquired by the
whole
company I
company.
used to work for. Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, I'm only about 3 levels below him, and it's like, oh yeah, you can email him, and I'm like, that's not how things are done. You're supposed to go. There's a process, man.
There's
You
not.
can't
Do you
just.
not have skip levels?
I do have skip levels.
It's the
He's
same
my. Let
thing.
me see. How does it work now? I just
That's
went
the
through a
same thing.
reorg.
Sending
So
an email
one,
to a CEO
two,
is just like a really
three,
big skip level.
4, 5. Okay, yeah, I'm only like 3 levels organizationally down from him. So I mean, we only have about 2,500 people in our company, but yeah, it's a completely different vibe. Daddy always says no, mommy always says yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
See, we need like non sequitur things. It's like somebody will be talking all serious and everything, and I'll be like, Daddy always says no, but mommy always says yes, and it's like,
Is that what an emote is? Can we just like record that?
oh, you can do audio emotes. I would have to pull those out of the audio stream, which wouldn't be difficult. I've been making emojis and stuff. I'll tell you how I make emojis.
Oh gosh.
I go to webemojis.com and just pull those down and then change the colors. Twitch hasn't noticed.
Oh, nice.
But they're free. So there's the graphical representations of the emojis. So, I mean, they're public. I don't think there's a copyright or anything on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's not a copyright on anything until you get caught.
that's right. That's right. And I love all of our streaming fans who are in the chat with us right now to not report us. No, I'm just kidding.
Shit,
Yeah.
fantastic.
We got emoji chat going on. Oh, this is
I
awesome.
know.
See, it's an
Fantastic.
entirely different show when Miss Berlin joins us. I don't know.
I
what that
know.
is. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Don't go back and watch the first stream though. If you ever watched the first video I ever posted on here, it's like I'm sitting here. I'm like, we're very cool.
I mean, honestly, I could probably rant by myself for a while.
We don't have to rant. I mean, I think what you're doing is probably some of the most complicated stuff you have to deal with, because you're taking what amounts to signals intelligence that you get from your customers, and you have to analyze that for finding things. I mean, in the intelligence community, that is very similar to, finding threats, IOCs, and breaking those down to find out if they're credible or not. So,
sure.
And that was our show this week. Take a look on our Twitch channel. You can like and subscribe. If you have a Prime account, you get one free sub, which you could give to us if you'd like, or you can give to somebody else. It doesn't cost you anything. You get it as part of your Amazon Prime membership. We would appreciate that, because Amazon does give us that money that you would normally have to pay $4.99 to be able to do subscription fee for. We have about at the time of this, and 1st of April, we have about 60 hours of content on our Twitch stream. So some of it's news, some of it is Hack the Box, some of it's Try Hack Me stuff. We're going through the bug bounty tracks and what have you. Come join us. We always love to have people we can talk to. Otherwise, we end up talking to ourselves. So you can follow me on Twitter at Bryan Break. The podcast and Twitch are at BreakSec. Mr. Betcher is at BetcherPwned, and Miss Berlin is at InfoSister. Mr. Betcher is the creator of a tool called Log-MD, LogMD, to hear him tell it, to configure your Windows devices for proper logging. There's some other things that he does as well. It's a free tool, but it does have a freemium model. So if you find there's more things if you pay for a license, like some forensics tools. And Miss Berlin, of course, she does a lot with Hackers Health on Twitter, Hackers Health, and bringing awareness to mental health issues in the InfoSec community. So check out Hackers Health. Also, InfoSec Roleplay, her tabletop RPG-like incident response workshops are apparently going very well. So if you have a chance to go check those out on Twitter, go do so. And sign your company up for an IR tabletop where you can be, the cleric of, CISO cleric or what have you. So, and you get fun dice for it too. So, all right, everyone, take care of yourselves. Have a great week. Be kind to one another, and take care of yourselves, because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.